If you're a new or newer agent, you're probably making lots of costly mistakes that you didn't even know existed in the real estate business. And unless you're getting coached, trained, and mentored by other seasoned agents like myself, well, you're going to probably continue doing these mistakes over time. So in this video, real quick, I'm going to go over 5 costly mistakes I see agents making nowadays and break those down a little bit. Hey, real quick, my name is James Studnicka Jr. I am a real estate agent here in the greater Los Angeles area, and I'm with eXp Realty, and I help coach, train, and mentor other agents to create transferable and generational wealth. So let's get into it right now. So these are 5 costly mistakes I see agents that are doing, and I'd like to help you out and see if we can help you avoid those. So the first one here is that I see agents, they're spending way too much money on the wrong things. So spending money on wrong things, and this would include things such as custom websites that don't actually create any leads whatsoever. They don't convert. Many agents think that because you spend a lot of money on a custom website, if your brokerage doesn't come with one, like mine with eXp, we get KB Core for like $85 a month, and you can use it obviously to create bring in leads and to nurture them as well. But many agents that come into the business, they're told that they have to spend a lot of money on custom sites, build it up, but they ultimately do not work and do not create any kind of business ROI, return on your investment whatsoever. And then also business cards. So business cards nowadays, a lot of agents, if you don't get them free with your brokerage, they're another waste of money. Realistically, not many agents I know nowadays use business cards. I do still have some, just to be completely transparent, but they do not create any business whatsoever for myself. So business cards are kind of outdated in this market that we're in, of course. When I say market, in this time nowadays, because of the digital age, and you can give everybody, send them to your Facebook page or wherever. That's basically should be like a business card for you. And then also not enough money you put back into marketing. So what I mean by this is that every time you sell a property, or even if you haven't sold a property yet, you should be allocating anywhere, let's just say, to 20 to 30% back into your marketing to keep getting the business that comes back in. And just enough, a lot of agents don't put hardly anything, maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 at the most, back into their actual marketing. So this is the first mistake I'm seeing. Secondly is that they don't create systems. And so what I mean by this are follow-up systems, like in your CRM, in your like, let's say you have like on my end, I've got KB Core. Maybe you have Commissions Inc. or Lion Desk or whatever it is you're using, but they don't have actual systems. And then also systems can be as for your listings or your buyers, like an actual process of when you actually have a listing, or you're going through the process of nurturing a buyer. You have absolutely no systems in place whatsoever. And then what happens is that you leave this leaves deals on the table. Sorry for my chicken scratch. Because you didn't have systems in place to follow up, you're going to leave deals on the table where you didn't properly follow up. Maybe you only reached out to a client, let's say 1 or 2 times, and because you didn't have a system in place, you simply just lost that client because they weren't followed up with, maybe let's say 5 to 15 times. And also you have no process, and this follows up on that, no process to follow up. So you've got to have some type of process to follow up, whether you have a drip campaign, whether you're calling, you're texting, you're sending direct mails. Any kind of follow-up is going to be helpful. Most agents do not have any kind of follow-up in place whatsoever, and this would follow in again to no nurturing sequence whatsoever. So this is one of the biggest things I can advise the newer agents that I help coach, train, and mentor, is that you've got to have a system in place. You've got to have systems in place in order to retain your leads that are going to turn into business someday. The next is actually when you do have a listing or you're representing a buyer, that you're actually counting your commission check before the deal is done. What happens is that you get into escrow, and then all of a sudden, let's say 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line before the close, is that your buyer or seller, somebody backs out for whatever reason, and then you've been counting on that one check all that time, and maybe you've already spent the money. I'm absolutely guilty of this myself. It's happened several times in my long career. So this is something that I see or hear about newer agents doing often, is that they get excited and then all of a sudden the deal falls through and they're not able to collect a check. So don't count your chickens before they're hatched, so to speak, old saying, and that way you won't be disappointed or spend money that hasn't been actually made yet, because deals can fall out. Next would be, I think this is probably the most important out of all of these, is not focusing on your personal brand. So what I mean by this is that your personal brand is you, and you're more important than your brokerage by 100%. Nobody's going to care about what brokerage you're with if you can't sell properties or if you can't get a buyer into a property. You've got to work on your personal brand, and I wish I would have learned this from my early stages, because nobody told me about it, nobody talked about it whatsoever, and I can't stress it nowadays enough. I have a personal branding team and marketing team, and they are the most important players in my business, on my team. Without them, I wouldn't have the ability to do what I'm doing here, like shooting this video. But the branding goes such a long ways, and that's more imperative right now than anything that you could ever do for your brokerage, because your brokerage ultimately doesn't really care about you in the sense of how you're perceived out there. You are your own brand, so make sure that you work on your brand and make that a priority. And then lastly is actually selecting the wrong brokerage. Now, this is something obviously very controversial with a lot of agents, but for me, I'm with eXp Realty, and eXp Realty made sense for my business model, not just because they have rev share stocks you can buy. They're a publicly traded company on NASDAQ, but it's the culture itself. You've got an amazing culture. Everybody is very incentivized to help each other, and if you're with a brokerage that you're just paying them your fees, you might have international fees. At the end of the day, you're only going to be as good as your last deal with any of those. And so if you'd like to know more about what I'm doing at eXp, I'd be more than happy to help you. Also, in conjunction to that, if you like the information here, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. I get videos out all the time with this channel, and I try to help out other agents like you to educate you in the business, as well as give you information with different things such as this video here. So with that said, I will see you on the next video.